For those who haven't listened to anybody talking on Buddhism, now you know Buddhism is not just on faith, it's on rationality, on logic, on the study of your own mind, on knowing universe, knowing the relationship among individuals, knowing why you are here, where you are from, explaining your whole life. So it's extremely important that one should take on this spiritual understanding, get to know what Buddha was talking about. If you're just busy with your daily business in preparing your food, going for a job, studying, and getting married, and then getting married and have a few kids, and then put all your energy in the kids, and then you have one kid, and then 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, and at the age of 19, the kids went to university, and some went to America, and then they got married, and they never come back home again. You started with 1 person, you have your wife, it's 2 persons, you have your kids, 5 people, and then you wind up finally at the age of 95, just yourself at nursing home. Is that what you want? Is that what life is all about after all? It's just putting food in this traveling bag of existence that you have, put the food in there, and then every day you're doing the same thing, and is that life? And then what is more enticing? Life is not just ice cream every day. Life's getting to be very spicy sometimes. You can't stand it. Only ice cream for those who have built up all the prerequisites for having an ice cream. How about those who are homeless? How about those who are handicapped? How about those who don't want to live out of hardship of life? I mean, have you ever thought about that? Or you just come to a temple for a lunch, or you just come to the temple because there's your certain forefathers passed away, and you come and do a ceremony, and you think that Buddhism is just gong and cling and clang and singing and chanting, and then you're bowing and worshiping, and then you're gone next day? If that's Buddhism, how can Buddhism stand for 2,600 years and have so much influence on human civilization? How long can you live? These days, people say if you live up to 70 years, you're already very lucky. But now people live up to 100 years. But even 100 years, how long is 100 years when it compared to the spans of time of the universe? It's just a fraction of a second. Remember, you started as a kid, and now you're an adult, now you have a family, now you get bound by the family. Hopefully the family is running well. I have seen family with handicapped kids who have to look after the kids for their whole life. So you got to be very careful with your life. Spend your life in what the Buddha told us. Go into the spirituality, that you can elevate yourself out of samsara. Not only for yourself, for all sentient beings. Why did the Buddha abandon his right to succeed as a king and enjoy all the luxuries? He became an ascetic. He was Prince Siddhartha Gautama. He was ready to succeed as a king and enjoy all the luxuries of life. Why did he give it up? Because he knew that he must get away from life and death. Not only for him, for all his people. He wanted to find a method to get away from samsara, life and death. There will be eternity, get into eternity, no more life and death. You and I, we're subject to life and death. Not only life and death, the hardship of life. Aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, death is suffering. Have you experienced any death as suffering? Not yet. Have you experienced all the experience that you get when your relative passed away? Or when your mom get a divorce? When your dad get a divorce? Or when your brother is a handicap, will never be as clever as you? When you're 30, is only at the age of, he only have a wisdom of, have an intelligence level of only 12, and he highly influenced you because you thought that the world is unequal. Think about all these things in life and try to understand it through the Buddhist teaching. You'll find a lot of wisdom in it. And maybe you find a lot of explanations that you can't get anywhere. Maybe that solves the riddles of your suspicion. Maybe that will unwind all those intertwined mental afflictions like jealousy, hatred, anger, greediness that have been intertwined in you, that bound you like a cocoon. You like a caterpillar? What does a caterpillar do? The caterpillar is throwing out all his thread to bound himself up. He's living in a cocoon. And he thought that that cocoon is his wonderful world. Remember, we are born in the world in the karma world, a world of desires. How many desires that we have, basically? 财, 舍, 名, 食, 睡. We have desire for greediness, for wealth, reputation, sex. We have sleep. You know, when you go into a higher level, they don't have that anymore. In the second layer of the karma, the rupa dhatu, they don't have the attachment to sexuality anymore. They are pure from that. No more relationship exists in there. They live to millions of years and they don't have that impurity. The higher you are, you're almost out from samsara. Anyway, I have these questions to answer, so I'm not going to linger on. First question, I believe that Buddha could help the drug addicted and homeless people in Vancouver at a moment. A continuation of drugs is a solution. What do you mean by continuation of drugs? Do you mean to give them the drugs to keep them happy? I don't know. Is it a solution? Have you been asked for input in this serious situation? Do you mean that there are drug addicts outside that should be treated, or that should... The problem of life is not just in addiction and obsession of drugs. So much suffering, in spite of the fact that sometimes we have happiness. But happiness is short term. Life is short. So many problems of life, and we don't want to stay away from the problems. We want to examine this problem. We're like solving a Harvard business case. You want to understand life and live life with wisdom, you have to understand the problems, find ways to solve the problems. But you have to understand the problems first. After you identify the problems, I remember when I was given a case, a very complicated case. Life is more complicated than any Harvard business case. They were given a case to study, and they asked you, resolve the problem. What do? First of all, you have to what? Identify the problem. You don't even know the problem. Some people don't even know life is suffering. They don't even know about this thing. Life is happiness. As long as I'm a billionaire, I'm happy. But when he becomes a billionaire, he's unhappy. So life, what is life? So you have to find out the problems, identify the problems, and then you have to find methods to solve the problem. And then you proceed to solve the problem. Some people find a lot of solutions from websites. They have a lot of information, but they never walk the board. They never walk it. They have shelves and shelves of books, and they think that if they know those books, they are Buddha. If that's the case, UPC librarian is already a Buddha. He's been surrounded by books. Reading itself, you have to practice it. So identify the problem, get methods to solve the problem, actually solve the problem by taking actions, and the problem is solved. All right. I can't answer this question, it's so broad. Next question. Do you think our present-day information world would evolve into a knowledge-based world? It is already a knowledge-based world. But what kind of knowledge, though? What do you get from worldwide information? You see, worldwide information makes our distance narrower and narrower because we can get a lot of information. We don't even have to go to the library. We get it from the computer. So worldwide information narrow the distance among us. Technology narrow the distance among us. Cell phones, all this narrow the distance among us. But family relationships seem to be remote, and remote. They don't get to see each other. You think technology bring us, you think narrow the distance? It widens the distance. The medical advancement has given us good health, but then there's a lot of disease, incurable disease coming up, or already existing. So you think technology can help? Just a knowledge base can help? Some people want to know Buddhism they've been pursuing for 20 years. They have on the shelves all kinds of videos, all kinds of books, but they are still egoistic, selfish, greedy, jealousy. They're not practicing it. They just get the information and shelf it, or store it in their computer. They have a computer base that's so wide. They can even set up their own database. But they only have the knowledge. They don't practice it. So what's the point? So it's a knowledge based world, but do you practice it? And also, what kind of knowledge you're getting every day? Good knowledge or biased knowledge? When you get onto YouTube, what do you see? Are you always seeing decent, objective knowledge? You know what you see. You know what you're obsessed with. You know, not all information, not all knowledge is good. You have to know how to make a decisive, you have to be strong in what you're seeing too. Some people get obsessed in information. Some people get obsessed in game. Obsessed in, you know what I mean. They're obsessed in any kind of thing through the knowledge base. Previously, some knowledge is restricted. Now it's not no more. They can access any kind of information, and information that would be so harmful too. You know how the world is going to turn into? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. Sometimes I get puzzled myself. Next question. There are so many profound sutras and literatures about the Buddhist teaching. Sometimes it can be quite overwhelming and intimidating for a novice practitioner. How can we approach this vast body of knowledge in a more accessible way? I think first of all you have to restrict the vastness of the knowledge that you want to obtain. If you know that you've been introduced to a decent, right book in meditation, stick to it and practice it. Don't refer to a few pages in one book, get into 10 pages in another book, 2 pages in here, 5 pages in here. You're not doing anything. You're just trying to get, some people are professional students. I have friends who are professional students. I study with them at university, first degree, second degree. And then when I went out to work, they go into a third degree, they go into a PhD, a postdoc, and at the age of 65, they're still studying. He's a professional learner, but he never practiced it. He's the same egoistic person as before. No change. He's just an information getter. So why do you want so much information? You have to judge what is the good information, the information that you want. Nowadays, there's so much information that you really have to have the right decision as which one is good for you, is appropriate for you. When you want to know the taste of Pacific Ocean, do you have to drink up the whole Pacific Ocean? You don't have to. You scoop up a cup of the water, clean water, and you taste it, and you know what Pacific Ocean tastes like. It's impractical to drink up, to swallow the whole ocean. You don't have that ability. Why don't you just scoop up something nice, taste it? Oh, this is the taste. Now I know. So much information, like an ocean. You want to read every book? Even if you live 100 years, you cannot read all the literature you want. Why don't you just stick to something useful, practice it, walk on it. Practice it. You want to go to Victoria? You got to go to Nanaimo, you drive over there, you actually drive, you actually take the ferry. You don't just look at the map and talk about it every day. I want to go to Victoria. But you never started your journey. You just talk about it, you get all the information. You have pages and pages of where do you see in Victoria, where is the Parliament House, where is the Imperial Hotel, and what is there and what is that. You never get to go. You only have whole information of Victoria. And then you sometimes ponder, is it really good to go to Victoria? Maybe I should go back to Hong Kong better. And you change your direction. Next question. During the talk today, in the last slide, it mentions real object and perceived object. I'm trying to understand the difference. Can you please explain a little? When we talk about how the eyes see, we talk about this seeing consciousness from two perspectives. One perspective is from the being perceived perspective, which is the object. One is the perceiving part of it. The real object in here is one that actually the eyes see, the real object. The eyes actually see this cloth. This is the real object. So this is direct veridical perception. Directly I see it. Veridical is factual perception. So that is the state, the object that I see. And the perceiving perspective is when my eyes see, I see it as it really appears to be in reality. When I see this cloth, I won't say this is paper because it stands up in reality. This is what the eyes see, here and now. The eyes cannot see yesterday. The eyes cannot see tomorrow. The eyes can only see right here and now. But sometimes the eye can see something fallacious. So if the eye sees smoke, then whether there's smoke or not, could be haze, could be smoke, could be a fire, it still have to go through my analysis of the sixth consciousness to judge whether that smoke is actually behind it a fire. So that goes to the sixth consciousness. Here, when you see real object and perceived object, it's the same thing. You see things as they really appear to be. When you see things that appear to be like that, but you see it differently, that means your karma is different. Let me give you an example. Like a huge, immense pool of water, crystal clear water. When humans see a crystal clear water, it is water, humans. When the devas, when people up in we call it guardian angels or the higher level existence, the heavenly beings, when they see our water, they see crystal, not water. When this fish see water, they see it as a habitat they live in, as their palace. When the hungry ghosts see water, it's blood. So how come it's the same water as it appears, really is, and all these different species see it differently because of their own karma? Hungry ghosts, they cannot drink our water because their karmic energy has created such a hardship for them that they cannot drink. They're always thirsty. Even if you give them water, it turns into blood because the way they see it, they don't want to drink blood. So sometimes when you see things differently, it's because of your own karma. When a man look at a woman, if the karmic energy obsesses him so that he loves the woman, that woman is a beauty. When the man and that woman does not strike up any relationship, there's no karmic energy whatsoever, he's just an ordinary woman. So beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. That's what the saying goes. But when you're obsessed with beauty, when heavenly people see that beauty, it stinks. Because he knows that that beauty, that human body, is just a bag in which they put in all the food and they excrete out. It stinks if you don't take a bath. When you get old, you like all the skins would be all crumble up. And when you get old, you're different. Not just when you get old. Do you see the cosmetic below, before and after? A person with all this color and paint, eyelashes, paint. He's a different person. With all this cosmetic, you don't even recognize that's Jeanette, or that's Mary, or that's John. The before and after. And also, did you consider the impurity inside that person? I know friends when I was a teenager that is beautiful. But behind, he was yelling, lying, sexual misconduct, screaming, cursing. You would hate her when you only can see from a distance that, you love that person. But when you really know the inside of her, you say, you want to stay away from her. And I'm not discriminating. I'm just giving an example. The same applies to a man. That man is handsome, he's strong, but he did a lot of misdeeds that they really stink. You don't consider the ugly part of it. And that's impurity bhavana, azubha bhavana, azubha smriti. So, everybody sees things differently because of karma, but I see things as they really are. Next, 2 more questions. There was a slide mentioning fallacy in dreams being consciousness. We know fallacy in dreams are not reality, but they sometimes have influences over our thoughts, emotions, and behavior in the real world. How does meditation help us not be affected by these fallacies in dreams in the real world? Meditation would, first of all, give you the focus, gives you the concentration. And then we call that samatha. Meditation has 2 parts to it. The first is a samatha and a vipassana. The samatha would give you the focus and the attention that you would not be enticed by your objects. So in other words, you stay calm and concentrate even in spite of the fact that you are being attracted by externalities. Some people are carried away by externalities. When they see something, they're being carried away. They're carried by the music, they're carried away by what they see, they're carried away by lots of externalities. The first thing to learn in meditation is not be carried away by that. Somebody yell at you, you immediately answer back, you want to fight because you're angry. You're carried away by that kind of yelling. You can control yourself. So the first part in meditation, don't talk about so advanced. Can you drop your obsession? Can you be in purity? Can you concentrate? Can you be a mountain, like when the clouds are drifting by, you don't go with the clouds? Have you seen a mountain going with the clouds? Or the mountain is sitting still, stationary, in here, and white clouds, no cloud, black and smoke, and all this cloud going by. Would the mountains be going with the cloud? The mountains would never go with the cloud. The mountains just see the clouds drift by, and the mountain would not be carried away by the cloud. Can you be that mountain? Not be carried away by any enticements, not be carried away by any obsessions, by any drugs, by any greediness, by any jealousy, by any hatred, fear, anxiety, depression. When the cloud of depression comes, can you just let it come and go? When the cloud of obsession comes, can you let it come and go? You cannot. That's the problem. Because you don't have any focus, you don't have any concentration. The Buddha said first step is to learn to be that motionless mountain, not be carried away by the cloud of enticement, the cloud of mental afflictions, the cloud of greediness, hatred, depression, anxiety. Can you do that? That's the first thing in meditation. So if you can do that, that's the first part. The second part is the mountain has to say, yeah, I'm not being carried away now. I'm myself. But why am I motionless in here? Who am I? Why am I here? Am I a mountain? Or am I just a piece of rock? What am I made up of? Am I made up of just a lot of clouds and vegetation all put together? I'm a mountain. What is my identity? Who am I? How did I come here? That's vipassana. That's, you get into the wisdom part of the existence. That's to resolve the problem at its basic root. But you got to stop the obsessions first. That's samatha. You can't even do that. You're being carried away by all this misconduct. Killing, lying, sexual misconduct, flattery, foul mouth, you name them. You can't stop those things. Why don't you just stop that by learning samatha first? And then, after you have that kind of focus, when you get into vipassana, you are on your way for enlightenment. Next, final question. What is the definition of sexual misconduct? Is there proper sexual conduct one can follow? Can sex be a way of showing compassion? What is the definition of sexual misconduct? First of all, let's do with that. There's two kinds. In a temporary world, there's two kinds of sexual conduct, according to what Buddha explained. One kind is sexual misconduct. Another kind is sexual conduct. So the relationship between a marriage, an official marriage of husband and wife, that relationship, a bonded relationship, it does not matter the certificate, the paper, it's a bonded relationship of husband and wife. That's a sexual conduct. Now, if this husband or wife has a third party, one night stand, flirting around with another woman, with another man, this one of the couple become misconduct. Because it's not a marriage relationship now. It's more than just a marriage relationship. And that relationship is multifold. Could be with one man, one lady, or few, you name it. Could be, many parties. That's misconduct. Other than husband and wife relationship, then that's misconduct. Prostitution is misconduct. One night stand is misconduct. Adultery, misconduct. Is there proper sexual conduct one can follow? If you want to say proper, okay, that sexual conduct between husband and wife, if quote unquote we call that proper, but still that is that is something in what we call proper. Why do we get reincarnation and follow this samsara life and death? It's because of sexual conduct. The sexuality continue our samsara. And going to nirvana, you get away from it. We, in this world, we think that is required. We think that sexual conduct is a requisite of civilization of a human. But that's the karmic energy that pulled us here. That is exactly the karmic energy that we're responsible for samsara. But you treat that as something that is important, something that you will have to do. It's just like when you were born in the prison, you think that being in a prison is what you are. You never thought of leaving the prison because you haven't seen what is outside the prison. But actually the free world is outside. You don't know about it. The Buddha said, no, that is not your home. The freedom is outside. You're still locked in that sexuality that you want. That's exactly responsible for samsara. You've got to get out from it. That's why people become a monk, a nun. They want the first step is to cut off that obsession. It's not easy. You have to get your first step to walk on enlightenment, that courageous, brave, uncommon step in order to be a saint. Who can be a saint? Now, how many people can be? How many people can practice celibacy? Maybe 1 in a million. That's the reason why, if you calculate, maybe 1 per million can become a real monk or a nun. I don't know. You tell me. I've never done statistics like that. People think that sexuality is a requirement in life, or they even think that there's a pleasure in life. That's something that we have to consider. Proper? Can sex be a way of showing compassion? What is the meaning of compassion? Compassion is unconditional. When you talk about sex, when you're talking about a love relationship, A and B involved in a love sexual relationship. They say they love each other. That's why they have a union. They love together. That's why they have a relationship. But when they find out that the other party is not loving him or her, he's going to hate her. He's going to take action. It's conditional. One loves the other based on the condition that is reciprocated. If it's not reciprocated, hatred will come out. Revenge will come out. Compassion is unconditional. There's no impurities in it. Compassion is pure. Where sexual love is not pure, if there is no reciprocity, there will be hatred in it. A lot of misdeeds, killing, raping, a lot of misdeeds could arise from what they call unreciprocated love. A lot of misdeeds will happen out of love that is not reciprocated, that is biased, that is one-sided. You heard about many of these stories. I just mentioned, take a look at that movie, Fatal Attraction. Take a lot of other movies, how love wind up in tragedies, how love wind up in murders, in killings, in greediness, in jealousy, in hatred. Love is sometimes like a boat. It can float you, it can sink you. Depends on how you handle it. Love, to a certain extent, could be like motherly love. The love between a mother and the son, it could be unconditional. If it is handled properly, it can be a creation of a saint. If love is not handled, if mother and son love is not handled properly, it could be spoiling the child, and the child become a criminal. So which kind of love are you exercising?